So mind you, I'm just an idiotic, stupid dog. But this was a quote. I mean, and I'm not even trying to set this up. I'm not even going to do the parameters, or whatever you call it. I'm not going to do a juxtapose. It is a juxtapose. I forget the juxtapose. It's about the man rambling on about his ex-wife. He didn't have an ex-wife, but he felt like he had an ex-wife. He felt like Madam Yes was his, whatever you call, the partner, the person that is somebody from, the distant relative that whatever. Not you're a relative like a blood relative, like it's relative, like you're close, that kind of thing. You're relatively close. It's relative. But the man, he was all worried about it. He started babbling and rambling on, and nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. And I was going to try to do a certain kind of a quote that would make you think like, hey, this was prescient or pertinent. Maybe it was pertinent. Nobody could tell. The thing is that this guy, he was in a flux. Sometimes, very rarely now, he's getting more what you would call sober. He's getting high on sobriety. It used to be he was always trying to get high on, sometimes marijuana, very rarely. He didn't like marijuana. He got high on banging pretty young ladies, but he almost never got high because he almost never banged no pretty young ladies. But when he banged one, he stayed high for weeks. I mean, weeks, this boy. I'm talking about, it was like surfing a wave that didn't end with this guy. It was like an unyielding orgasm. It just didn't stop. It didn't quit. It was like a truck going through a barricade. But, so the whole point was that this guy, he was trying to figure something out. And it wasn't going to bear fruit. He wasn't going to figure nothing out. So he was rambling, stumbling, bumbling, fungandio, ficusen. He was just, it was like if you're walking down a path and you trip on a root and you smack your face on the ground and you walk up and there's dust, a caked dust in the corner of your eye. He had gone to his doctor. He went to his doctor, and because he was always having pangs of hunger, he woke up in the middle of the night with pangs of hunger, and he started going to McDonald's, at like 4 o'clock in the day because he retired by 6:30, 7 o'clock. He's back in the manor house. He would go to McDonald's. He would get 2 biscuits, sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits, and he would eat one because he couldn't help himself. He started to buy 4 at once. It was with the COVID escalation and this stupid Joe Biden, raised the rates. If Donald Trump was here, I wish we could just keep the good parts of Donald Trump. Most of the bad parts of Donald Trump were so bad you can't keep Donald Trump. But if you could keep some of the good parts of Donald Trump, we'd all be better off. Beat him down. Smack that person down. That guy who raises the rates, smack him down. Keep the rates low. My McDonald's, the man says, my McDonald's, I go into McDonald's, used to be like $3.99. I could get 2 sausage, and there was a choice. I could get a chicken biscuit. Sometimes they put the famous Egg McMuffin, the famous thing I love the best, the Egg McMuffin. I'll get 2 Egg McMuffins like you can't believe. But it was like $3.99, $4.06, Now it's $4.29 for a 2. It could be sausage, Egg McMuffin, or sausage biscuit. The man gets sausage biscuit. He started buying double that, so he's paying like $8.60 something, so he could get 4 sandwiches. He eats one on the way home. He's addicted to taking one out of the sack, the paper sack, and eating the one on the way home. He eats the one as soon as he gets home. He thinks he's pretty powerful and strong because he sets it on the counter or the coffee table right in front of the RCA in the big parlor room, so he could, and he finds his favorite thing. He might be going on Netflix, Hulu. He might be watching First Take with that crazy black dude, Stephen A. Smith, or Mike Greenberg. He might be earlier in the day. He's going to see what Mike Greenberg's doing, though Mike is almost never there no more. Mike has moved on. Mike is like an elitist. Mike, I don't know what he's doing, but Mike Greenberg, he abandoned the guy, the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman he loved from Philadelphia, the Philadelphia defensive lineman wannabe. He lasted 6 years in the league. Mike, his name was Greenberg too. I don't know, Green or Mike something. Mike. It was, I don't know, it's Mike Greenberg or some Greenberg, and then Mike Leviathan. I think it was Mike Leviathan. But he was like, he was the perfect illustration of striving hard, doing the very Goliath, Goliath, something. He was like the Mike Goliath. He was the perfect example of somebody who gets there by dint of work, dint of, trying. And he's like, he had a good attitude. The guy had a great attitude. But the whole thing is, the man, he had to go to the doctor because his stomach, he kept having stomach pains, hardcore, vicious stomach pains. By the way, this is chapter 1 of The Man, I forget what the name of it is. We're not going to name it yet. But this is chapter 1 of a total new thread. It's recording the time the man, he goes to a church, he goes to a certain church by mistake. He hooks up with this young woman. The man's 55. I'm going to spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. The man, 55-year-old man, starts dating a 21-year-old. 21. And he tried to fight it the whole time. He doesn't have sex with her because the man will never, the man remembers Jehovah the whole time, but he's not going to take advantage. He's not going to add a wedlock. If he could have married this girl, oh God, it's a crazy story. It's going to be a wonderful story. But the story begins, the beginning of the story is the man. He keeps waking up in the middle of the night. He goes and eats some chocolate-covered peanuts. He eats some saltine. He's drinking some soda water. Not too many people have soda water anymore. No one even knows what that is. It's old school. It's like from the Frank Sinatra days. But anyways, he's waking up in the middle of the night. He's pangs. He's not really losing that much weight. He's hovering. He's having a good hover. The man's weight is pretty decent. But it's not phenomenal. But he's hovering down at a decent weight. But he's in the middle of the night. He's eating so much. He's eating calories. He can't quit eating the calories. He's walking a lot. He's walking up hills. The man likes to walk up hills. He thinks it's better if you walk up a hill. That gets your heart pumping harder. But he's always got stomach pains, like he's hungry. And his stomach's always growling. His stomach must be processing the food lickety-split quicker than other people because he's always got rumbling stomach pains. Always. The man is whatever, okay? So he goes to the doctor. He's like, buddy, every time I wake up, I could be 3 hours after I ate a big turkey dinner, my stomach's rumbling, I have pangs. And the man's trying to figure out how he could lose some weight to begin with, so he's trying to cut down on his caloric intake. But he's, the whole thing, he's trying not to drink no beer or whatever. He goes to the doctor, and the doctor finally, after a bunch of tests, a battery of tests, and the man, he opens up an envelope one day, and it's like, $3,500. He's got to pay $3,500 for a test he had done. He didn't even know what that. And he's like, can we get something? Hey, doc, can you could you, whatever you call it, code it so it's like related to COVID so I could get something off that $3,500 medical bill? He called him up. They said you could pay $25 a month. Yeah, I'll be paying till I'm 85. They're like, we don't care. I'm like, I'll settle. The man says, I'll settle for 60 cents on the dollar. Like, no, we want the 25 because we're getting involved with other streams of whatever, business, finance. We're getting, it's like the people that, whatever. As long as you give anybody any kind of a discernible, not debatable, but predictable stream of income, they could do whatever they want with it from that point on. But the man came home to the dog. He says, dog, you cannot believe this bullcrap. The doctor says it's like a sleazy disease I got. It's like empty stomach syndrome. I have a disease called empty stomach phenomenon. I think it's called empty stomachs disease. You always feel like you got pangs of hunger. Your stomach always feels empty, and by God, it really is empty. That's the crazy thing about this disease. It's grumbling and rumbling like it's empty because it really is empty. It's the disease, It's like having a tapeworm. Somebody said, hey, buddy, what's the matter? Why aren't you eating like a horse over here, eating like 2 breakfasts? He's like, I got empty stomachs disease. And that's not what it's called. This wasn't called empty stomachs disease, but he went to the doctor, and he found out he's got a disease that makes him feel like his stomach's always empty. As much as this guy's crapping, it must really be empty. Plus, he's eating so much calories, and he's maintaining it like 210. That's like 35, 40 pounds over his actual good weight. his actual weight should be 170 tops. He's 210, so it's 40 pounds. But whatever, it doesn't matter. They're saying this guy, he's got what they used to call in the old days empty stomach disease or empty stomach syndrome. I think that's what it was, empty stomach syndrome. Who knows? But this guy, he's suffering. He's always got pangs of hunger. He always feels like he has to eat. He has to get up in the middle of the night and drink some water, eat a few saltines so he can get back to sleep. He's not sleeping that well. Believe me, this guy's not sleeping that good. But this leads to a whole panorama, and this is the inception. This is chapter 1. We can't name this novelette, but this is definitely chapter 1 of something along the lines of the man goes on a false religious, not retreat, but endeavor, like a false religious, he yinged and zanged, whatever you call it, when you're going down a path and you took the wrong path. He takes the wrong path and he gets involved with a bunch of yahoos and whatnots. But it's okay. He puts somebody through college at the end, so that's a good thing. But it's like, everybody's waiting to find out, and they feel like they're not hesitant, but they're like expecting, or what do you call it? Anticipating. They're anticipating something is interesting going to happen. That may or may not be the case. Something interesting may or may not transpire. Something interesting, it may or may not be the case.